lock out to your right, the way you do it is when the right hand is on top, they come back, the right hand comes back, the left is in the front, then you do the one petal here with each hand, then bring the right hand underneath. Then you switch to the other side, and when the left is on top, it goes back, and then you bring it underneath to enter back in. So the rule is the top hand that's crossing comes to the back position, and then re-enters the weave by crossing underneath to go back in. And then once you have both sides, you're basically doing a 2-petal flower on the side clean, followed by a 2-beat weave crossover to the other side. So 2-petal crossover, 2-petal crossover, 2-petal crossover, 2-petal crossover. A 3-beat in the middle, and then going to the other side, a 3-beat in the middle, and then going to the other side. I was cutting out some of the 3-beat and just doing it quicker. Neither is right or wrong. They are both variations on the same theme. If we start here in underhand and do the lockout on the right side, what we're going to do now is turn left, and you're basically going from this 2-petal here to both of them behind your back, which means you won't be able to see once you turn because you'll be facing away from me. And then you come back to where you were, and then you would take your back hand and bring it back into underhand weave. So at speed, you would do the lockout, barrel roll back in to the weave. Lockout, barrel roll, turn, underhand weave. And lockout, turning left, underhand weave. You're going to rotate this whole thing instead of doing underhand here. Now you're going to do underhand here so that you can see the other part of it. When you do the first portion, you take the top hand, you bring it back. Now, as you're doing your turn and you go into your other position, you're sort of a little like this instead of this. Make sure you're shooting for this position back here and then coming back into it. So you really want the poi to, the center of rotation to remain on a straight line rather than forming an L or some other angle. You get like a broom or something to form a straight line so that you could practice turning and positioning your hands in that straight line. A broom works. It's probably long enough. If you're struggling with this, then I would say what you can start with to help is going up against a wall and practicing doing your poi in same direction split time back here, and then the other same direction split time back here, so that you can practice holding that position in both directions, and you can feel better about it. And you're going from the underhand weave and then turning to the left. Your 2 poi, if you bring them to the front of your body, are going to be counterclockwise. And if you do a figure 8 behind you and hold them there in split time at the 2 horizontal points. And you can even practice just for extra credit, reaching your arms out all the way, but in reality, when you're doing this barrel roll, you will have bent elbows as you're moving through the turn. You lock out, then you do 2 180s, so that you start facing stage, what I'm going to call left here, and you end facing stage left, and then you come back in using that same entry back into the lockout. So the lockout, the turn, and then re-enter from the lockout. Crunching your hands together when you do the turn, so doing them really tight like this, I think it feels more awkward than doing it as a more stretched out motion like that. So feel free to explore whether you prefer having the bigger extension or having it tighter. Again, neither is more wrong or right than the other, they're just different aesthetic choices. The same thing going to the left side. In this case, it's when the left hand's on top, you lock out on your left, and now you're going to turn to your right, to the one that's behind your back, then turn again to your right. You'll be facing the same way you were, then bring your left hand underneath to re-enter the weave. So doing it more at speed now. The left hand from the top comes back, 2 right turns, 180, and then bring the left hand underneath. Bring the left hand back in the lockout, 2 right turns, bring the left underneath. Bring the left hand back, lockout, turn, left underneath. And lock out left, barrel roll, left comes underneath, back into the underhand weave. Now let's try putting it together. We go to the right, and then we left turn twice, come back into underhand weave, however many times. Now lock out left, turn barrel roll twice, come back to underhand weave, lock out right, turn left twice, come back into underhand weave, lock out left, barrel roll twice, come back into underhand weave. And then you can cut down the underhand weave to just make it a crossover if desirable. If you're struggling to remember which way to turn when you go into the barrel roll, I think what can be useful is focusing on the backhand. So if you go to here, your backhand wants to come down this way, which is the way you're going to turn, right? And if you come to your left side, your hand wants to come down that way, which is the way you're going to turn. So if you focus on the backhand, it might help you remember which way to turn. You turn in the opposite direction of the hand that goes to the back position. So if your right hand goes back, you turn left. If your left hand goes back, you turn right. If your right hand goes back, you turn left. From underhand, at least.